Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. And I've got a fantastic guest for you coming from the Big Apple, Troy Lavinia. And he's he talks about daily SOS, which is going to be really interesting. I'm really interested to hear what that is. And he talks about your daily spiritual practice made easy for clients. And so I'm really happy to have him on and I'm really excited to delve into the conversation. So Troy, welcome.
Thanks, Chris. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So kind of, to start it off, talk about, what you do, how you got there, and, what the audience can look forward to.
Yeah, so I've been an entrepreneur for 14 years. Started the journey back in 2010 and started a company that does research for hedge funds, and it's a service business. So one path we can talk about is my entrepreneurial journey. So started that and still running it. Have a couple of people running it for me, and they're doing a really great job. And so it doesn't take up too much of my time. Since then, also started a subsidiary of that business, which was a content business. And we were able to grow that subsidiary pretty quickly from 0 people to about 120 employees and a few million in ARR and sell it, have a really nice exit. My experience doing that was driven really largely by use of spiritual principles and subconscious mind practices that I've been studying for many years. And I talked about that in a book that I wrote called The Spiritual Operating System. So, how you can use your connection with the force of life and force of love to shine bright. And when you're shining bright, everything that you shine on tends to grow better. And how you can align your subconscious mind, your self-image and your identity so that it's in alignment with what you want. You can clear out any of the old programs from our ego or from childhood in order to really have a abundance mindset when it comes to finances and success and all the things that you're trying to grow in life, to be successful. And I found myself having a lot of success when I focused on that. And so my spirituality, that is just connecting with my higher power, shining bright, feeling love every day, and shining that light through a set of subconscious programs that were ones of abundance as opposed to lack. And when I did that, everything grew really nicely in my life, and I was able to accomplish most of the things that I was visualizing and trying to manifest. And it really struck me in doing that how much time we as entrepreneurs spend focusing on the what to do and how to do it, the above the surface stuff, when we focus much less time on how bright we're shining as people and what our subconscious programs are and how they're dictating our lives. And so, what we try to do with Daily SOS is just provide a forum and a daily practice, a 30-minute daily practice for entrepreneurs and creators to come together, connect with their higher power, and feel love, share love, shine bright, slowly, but pretty consistently start to rewire who they are inside from people who have old programs related to money or old programs related to relationships or how we manage people and things that are standing in our way to mindsets and self images that are really dictated by abundance and the lives that we're trying to live. So it's helping entrepreneurs and creators do that subconscious under the surface work consistently because there aren't really many places to do it. And that's what we're doing the past 2 years since we sold the last business.
Yeah. And kind of delving into the show, which is really interesting, is this idea, because I always love to reconcile dichotomy or two different ideas. And so there's this one idea which I've recently heard about. It's like kind of like the universe gives you these ideas and opportunities, but it's up to you to
Mm.
seize those opportunities. And
Yeah.
so this leads to like we have to put in the work. It's not gonna we can talk about the law of attraction, but if we don't execute, it's not gonna happen. And so, but then the long hours, the high stress, the relentless pursuit of success. The other camp is like, yeah, doing too much and you're hindering what the universe is trying to bring to you. How do you reconcile
Yeah.
those two dichotomies?
Yeah, it's a really great point. There's a fine balance that's needed. So we don't want to just pray and visualize success and then go into a mountain and uh and sit by ourselves and hope that it takes care of itself. And at the same time, we don't want to try to micromanage and have kind of voracious control over everything that's happening in our business and our lives. And I think most entrepreneurs err on the side of doing too much rather than too little. So by default, I think unless you've really thought about this and you feel like you've really worked through the guilt associated with not working so hard, chances are as an entrepreneur, you're probably on like 75% to the right on that spectrum of, between on the far left, not working hard enough, and on the far right, working too hard.
Yeah.
And chances are it's probably hindering your ability to allow success. Um,
No.
but I agree with you. It's a trade-off. And so I think what I've found to be really helpful is just understanding the there's a four core principles to subconscious mind work and spirituality that we can leverage to help us accomplish what we want and do it with as much joy and ease as possible. And then there are a handful of, or as many as you'd like, daily practices that you can adopt that help you tie yourself into those four core principles. And
Mm.
that's really what I was able to identify when I looked back on the success that we had in my last business. I was able to identify those. So the four core principles, number one is the idea that there's a higher power of some sort. And you might call it your higher power, you might call it the life force, you might call it God, but it's that animating force of love and life energy that grows everything. It's, you might even at the most agnostic think about it just as passion or enthusiasm, right? It's that
Mm.
thing coming from your heart in its most positive form. And you can call it passion or love. So
Mm.
that's number
Mm.
one. Is just the idea that there is a life force or force of love that you can tie yourself into to help you grow things and heal things more successfully. And when I say heal, just letting go of old programs within yourself that are blocking you from the success that you want. Number two is the idea of vision, the idea that thoughts are things and that everything that unfolds in our physical world is first something that's held in our mind and consciousness. And the idea that you can start to listen to your higher power, listen to your heart about what that next best version of yourself or what that next best version of your business needs to look like. And you can really clarify it and start to put some intention toward it. Write down your I am statements that dictate or that illustrate what you're creating and start to create some mental movies, snapshots of of yourself living that success and really visualize it to not only create that thing and nurture that thing in
Mm.
consciousness, which is the
Mm.
precursor to it unfolding in reality, but also to rewire your subconscious because you can start to program that new self into your subconscious mind. So that's number two is the vision. Number three is flow. So the idea that if we work and live from a place of love rather than fear, a place of calm, you might scientifically you could call it your parasympathetic nervous system as opposed to fight or flight mode. Or you might
Mhm.
think of it as, being more on the side of love rather than fear on that
Mhm.
spectrum. When we live and act from that place, our eyes and our minds notice the things that need our attention. We have those
Mhm.
spurts of inspiration when we're walking the dog or doing the dishes, and we can write those down and we can act on them. And we can also carve out time each day to give loving attention to the things that we're trying to grow. So if I'm trying to build a business, instead of just getting sucked into the stream of work and the stream of life every morning when I wake up, if I'm able to carve out two or three or five or 10 half-hour work blocks and step into those with intention, just like a gardener would step into their garden, give loving attention to the
Mhm.
business that I'm growing or the book I'm writing or even the relationship that I'm tending to, then once that period of time is over, remembering to set it down, hand it back over to the universe the same way the gardener would step out of their garden, we can have a ton of success while limiting the amount of work that we're doing and limiting the amount of time we're spending worrying and ruminating on things when we're not working on them. So I think a gardener analogy is a really nice one for that. You know, the gardener would step into the garden, usually have some joy about it. They're not doing it because somebody's forcing them to go into their garden and tend their flowers and plants. They work on
Mhm.
it, they give it love, make sure that that thing was ideally positioned to receive sunlight and was in the right soil and had enough water. And maybe they'd prune it a bit and just give it some loving attention. And then they'd step away. They wouldn't hover over it all day, seeing how quickly it was growing, because that would just block the sunlight. And I think it's almost like God or Mother Nature looking at you saying, "Hey, are you going to get out of the way and let me do some work on this thing?" God won't work while you're working necessarily. And I call it God, but you can call it the life force or whatever you want to call it. So that's flow, is staying in alignment with love rather than fear, and being able to work in small doses in order to maximize the amount of work that the universe does for you when you're not working. And then the fourth spiritual principle or subconscious mind principle is the idea of surrender. So letting go of things that no longer serve us. Because if we are connected, we're leveraging the other three principles. We're connected with our higher power. We're feeling love and shining bright. We're visualizing the things that we want in life. And so our light is projecting through the right slideshow in our
Mhm.
subconscious.
Mhm.
And we're staying in alignment with love rather than fear so that our light is continuing to shine throughout the day and we're not overworking or underworking things. Then the old programs usually tend to come up in the form of insecurities and procrastination and all kinds of fears. And if we look at those for exactly what they are, which is just these old programs that are coming to the surface of your awareness now that you've started to replace them with new programs, then you can look at those, give them light and love, and gently let them go, as opposed to jumping into them and really indulging that insecurity or that imposter syndrome that we typically have as entrepreneurs. So that's the last principle, is surrender. So you have these four principles that are incredibly powerful when it comes to growing anything, from a
Mhm.
garden to a book to a business to a relationship.
Mhm.
And when you're doing those four things or leveraging those four things under the surface, the
Mhm.
growth is just about as automatic as it can be. And that means you don't not do anything, but the
Mhm.
ideas that you have and the tasks that you assume and where you tend to focus your energy is very inspired, as opposed to just busy work that you're contriving or that you're kind of not looking forward to doing. And so therefore
Mhm.
it's really effective. And so what we tend to do and how we do it and with whom tends to be
Mhm.
really incidental, because we're just paddling the boat and the current at that point is rushing really nicely in the right direction for us. And I think it's just the opposite. I think our success is dictated 90% by how bright we shine and what our subconscious mind is programmed to find for us based on our old programs and the programs that we've created for ourselves. And it's based
Mhm.
10% on what we do and how many hours we work.
Mhm.
And the irony about entrepreneurship and life in general right now, at this point in humanity, is that we spend more than 90% of our time on the what and the how and working many hours. And we spend less than 10% of our time thinking about our spirituality, feeling love, shining bright on the things that we're focused on, and having the right programs in our subconscious so that what we're shining is what we actually want. And that's what I'm
Mhm.
trying to change a little bit. One daily huddle at a time. We meet for 30 minutes every morning and we feel that good energy. We support each other and we do some guided meditations and visualizations to slowly rewire our subconscious mind to align with what we want in life. And the people who have been doing it, we're about 2 years in now. We do it every Monday through Friday for 30 minutes. And it's kind of like CrossFit or Barry's Boot Camp or any other type of workout, but for your spirit and your subconscious mind. And it's worked really well for entrepreneurs.
It's very powerful because the guests prior to you, we talked about healing and boundaries, but I think with your daily SOS, which kind of addresses these things, it's kind of like, these flow and surrender. And it, kind of brings me to my mind was like, when I was like grasping on to like an outcome, and then, the universe is like, just let go. And like, you're grasping and it's like nothing's happening, right? But then it's like wasted energy. And then like you just let go and then things start happening. It's like, it's almost like miraculous. So
That's right.
yeah, go ahead. I know you had some thoughts.
No, I think what's interesting is that, that feeling of that graspingness in
Yeah.
and of itself is taking up space, right? So if your subconscious or your conscious mind and your body and your brain are filled with that grasping frequency,
uh,
then the things that are in consciousness that want to fall into place, there's no room for them to fall into place because you're taking up their space with grasping, right? And so if we let go of that grasping, we
mhm.
create an openness and we create a space for the ideas and the intuition and the small actions and like the joyful coincidences to fall into place in our
Yeah.
minds, in our bodies, and in our physical reality. And it's in, we think that if we stop grasping for something or we start striving for it, if we stop striving for it, we're going to be stopping moving toward it. And in many cases, it's the opposite. Your subconscious and the universe knows what you want. You've been maniacally focused on it long enough. And so you probably, as an entrepreneur, I would challenge you to spend the next 10 days just surrendering the grasping and seeing what happens.
Yeah. I
It's just
really like.
it's like a really it's a drastic kind of reversal and unwinding of a lot of the tendencies that we have as ambitious people, because those tendencies have served us really well. Like the idea of being ambitious has served anyone who's listening right now has been well served by being really ambitious.
Yeah.
But the ambition also limits the degree of success that you can have. So it's like a really nice starter tool to get you in the game and to get you on the path of success. But at a certain point, you start to bump into that imaginary wall where you've run out of hours in your day, you've run out of books to read and programs to read and podcasts to listen to, and you need to like turn it over to the invisible forces for help getting to the next level. And that's what I think is really interesting and where we can help people.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I know we have like 3 or 4 minutes left, and so kind of talk about your daily SOS system. I know a lot
Yeah.
of people would be interested in how can they find out more about it and check you out.
Yeah, so we try to make it as easy as possible. If you go to dailysos.com, daily SOS meaning like call for help every day. Like the idea that, whether things are going well or whether things are going poorly, if you put, your higher power, your connection with the source of love first, even for just a couple minutes every day, it tends to make sure that life is moving in a nice direction for you. And so we get together every day and do that. Go to dailysos.com or go to dailysos on Instagram. And if you sign up for the community, you can join for free and just get a good feel for who's in there, the types of folks, and the types of things that we're doing together. And for $49 a month, you can join as many of our daily huddles as you would like, which are just 30 minutes on Zoom where we get together. We do a body opening exercise so that we start feeling good and feeling open and loving. And then we do a short meditate or a short lesson with a daily takeaway that we can implement. And then we also do a guided meditation or a visualization that helps us connect and rewire ourselves in a nice way. And so it's like a daily workout for your heart and your subconscious mind, specifically for people who are looking to build and grow things and continue on that journey of success with a little bit more joy and ease.
I love that. What a fantastic discussion. I'm really happy we able to do this. And for the audience, be sure to give Troy's socials a like and follow, and check out the dailysos.com. And thanks so much for an enlightening conversation.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And I'm really, it's great to see what you're doing. So anybody who's out there that's an entrepreneur or even on the fence of entrepreneurship, you know, keep moving forward. And Chris, thanks for doing the good work to get them the information they need to be successful and happy.